Hi, everyone. It's Marilyn Aloria with Who Can It Be Now? And I have special guests today, Monique Garsaud and Donna. I'll never say her last name. Donna, what's your last name again? Diomenico. Wait.
DiDomenico.
DiDomenico. You would think I would know it by now, but I'm so bad with names. And we have this really interesting conversation to have with you today. Monique and Donna are in my Next Level Living program. They're absolutely magical people. They're incredible. There are other interviews with them on my podcast, which we will link in the show notes so you can get to know them further. And I'll have them introduce themselves so you get to know who they are. But what we're going to be talking today about is bringing your spiritual gifts to business and how you can grow from within. And this is a really important topic because many people separate the two, and that creates a problem, right? If you're a really spiritual person or you're starting to enter, you've been on the spiritual journey for a while, whether you're working in a corporation or not, or you're growing a business as an entrepreneur, you want to make sure that you're marrying your spiritual gifts with your business so that your business is constantly in alignment with where you're going, what you're doing, who you're serving, who you're attracting, who you're hiring. You can use all of this within that. So we're going to have just a really great conversation about it. And then we'll also link in the show notes. Of course, they'll say how you can get in touch with them. I can tell you they're both in Next Level Living, and I'm impressed, so impressed with both of them. It's such a great community in there because even though I'm the gatherer of people, I learned so much from both of them. Donna is a channeler of the boardroom. She's just published a book, and she has another book coming out, and we could talk about what that book is. And she's the only person I would say I would allow read me because she brings such great information to the table. And then Monique is an amazing healer. And she's actually another person that I will go to if there's something going on in my body or if there's something going on in my dog's bodies. And we talk constantly, and she does this incredible work with frequency. But they'll tell you about themselves, and then we'll jump into this conversation. Donna, do you want to start? And you can also, they came up with the idea of this topic, which I thought was great. It's not my idea. So they can even talk further as to why they want to talk about this. Donna.
Okay. So hi everyone. My name is Donna DiDomenico, and I am a past corporate executive who left the corporate life to go off and do things on my own. And as I did that, I started to really expand in my spiritual gifts and really started working more on them. And so it was really something that I needed to help recover and find myself again after I left the corporate world, because I found that I had lost a lot of myself in the job. And as I sit now and look back, I wonder why I didn't bring my spiritual gifts to work with me. I mean, I know why on the surface levels, if they weren't widely talked about or accepted. However, I think about how many times I might have sat there in a meeting and known that someone wasn't quite telling the truth, or weren't telling factual information, or weren't working in the best respects for the company, and I didn't say anything, right? And so now that I work with the boardroom, and our mission is to bring different leadership to light in the future, people who are authentic, real, and that unite people. Through them, I'm learning a lot about how I could have better used my talents at work when I was in corporate life and today in business. So that's really where I am and what I'm focused on.
Love that. Thank you, Donna. That's great. That's a great explanation. And it is a good question that we should talk about because Monique comes from a professional career too. Why we didn't bring our spiritual gifts into the workplace, which is so good.
Mhm.
Monique, share who you are and whatever you want to share.
Yeah, I just love what's already been said. So I'm Monique Garsaud, and my background, I was a lawyer for, oh gosh, probably almost 2 decades. And I got very, very ill to the point where nothing was working. I couldn't respond to the traditional healing techniques of the world. And so it brought me into a space of really recognizing that I have the abilities to tap into what is available to us outside of the physical realm to heal my own body. And so it really opened up this space for me to connect with myself. And, whether we call them our gifts, our abilities, I think everyone has them. But it allowed me to use them in such a way that they became unique to me, but at the same time, it was accessing information that's available to everyone. And so what stemmed from that is I become what I call a frequency energy healer. And I'm also an intuitive boundaries coach. And the marriage of both is basically, and the basis of my work is really teaching people that we are all our own creators through our choices, our beliefs, however we look at the world is our own creation, and we create our own energetic experience, and that there's nothing else, no one else who's out there causing us to believe or behave in whatever ways we are. And it's really to take ownership for our own lives and our ownership for our earthly experience. And so I do that through my work, whether it's coaching, and really my energy work goes hand in hand with my coaching. It's really about engaging people in the discussion of how incredibly powerful we all are. And we all have the ability, maybe through different mechanisms of how we access information, but we all have the ability to tap into what I'm going to call our divinity.
Yeah, just as you were talking, I'm like, oh, we need to do a whole podcast about ownership, because I had Dashka, I was interviewing Dashka yesterday, which they know, who's a healer, and we were talking about ownership there too, with, you know, being healed. But I do have a question for the two of you. What would be different in your corporate careers today, knowing what you know today, and if you were to bring that spirituality into the business? What do you think would be different for you? I know you're running your own businesses now, but going back to what you used to do, I'm curious how your experience might be different. If there was, maybe you would have been like, sayonara, I'm leaving right now.
It's interesting because I do think I would have still been a lawyer, because there were parts of it that I loved. What I did not have in my life were boundaries, were really the energetic spaces to say no, and to understand that by honoring myself in the saying of no, I'm also honoring other people so that they can take responsibility for their own creations and their own lives and their own decisions. I believed I had the responsibility to take on everyone else's garbage and everyone else's tasks and everyone, whatever the stories we tell ourselves. But now that I, on the other side of that, I recognize and understand that everyone's journeys are individual, and I can't take responsibility for anyone else's journey. And that's what I was thinking I was doing.
I understand
Very similar to that. I believe that I would have trusted myself a lot more in being myself while I was at work. And so, what I really mean is that, we all have our inner guidance system, and have always been very in touch with mine, but I was, I would succumb to the pressures of what other people wanted, of outcomes that they were looking for. And very similar to Monique, that I didn't have boundaries, right? I worked a tremendous amount of hours, whatever was needed to get the job done, I would do. Where if I was more tapped into myself and more trusting of all of those messages that I was getting and all those things I was feeling and everything I was knowing, I would have maybe been able to control things around me a little more, and to really stand firm in some of the boundaries that I would have established.
So what made you two interested in bringing this topic to conversation right now? Like, what about this is in your life right now, bringing spiritual business, bridging the spiritual and the business? Why is that important now?
Well, for me, it's we're in a place where we really need to give some guidance to ourselves, to people, to really be in touch with themselves. I think that in the world of leadership alone, we are really struggling, and that we don't see people being those authentic beings that we really need to lead us. And that we've become very dependent on people to tell us what to do. We've stopped thinking for ourselves, or we don't use our critical thinking skills anymore. We don't use our empowerment. We don't take the empowerment. And so I think, for me, it's about helping people see that they can control, and that, as Monique said, everybody has gifts, abilities. When you're in touch with them and you listen to them, they guide you. It is your guidance system. And so, a lot of times we stay stuck in the decisions that we've made when we really should be moving on. And I think that was really true for me in a lot of ways throughout my career. There were a lot of things that I stayed stuck to because I thought that was what I was needing to do. But once I released and let go, man, did my world change.
Mhm. So true. So true. What about you, Monique? I'm coming up with other
Yeah,
questions.
and this goes back to, I think, Marilyn, what you said at the beginning. It's the whole separation, how we have separated, particularly in the spiritual, metaphysical, whatever world, so many years and decades and centuries, whatever, people were shunned for that and, stayed in the closet, whatever. And you can't separate. This is who we are. This is the core of who we are. So if we decide that our business, whatever part of our lives, but we're talking about business today, if we decide that's a separate part of us, then right there we have cut off the flow of ourselves. So really, I think my biggest question to myself back then would be, how do you find fulfillment if you have cut yourself off from who you really are? And that is a question that I don't think we ask ourselves enough in the business realm, because I think there's so many people, and myself included, who, we followed the line. We followed the line we're all fed of, when you're young, the boxes you're supposed to check off, whatever it may be. And then we get into our 40s, 50s, whatever, and we go, my gosh, what have I done? What joy, how was I expressing my true self in my business, in my career? And I think you'll find a lot of people aren't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking about the people that are listening now who are in a career exactly in that stuck moment, and what would be your advice to, because what would be your advice to leave? Because I always get very, people to me who just leave without a plan. It's not a smart thing. They're like, no, I'm just quitting. I have no income coming in. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, that's not smart. Like, make a plan. But what would be your advice in order to, because bridge that spiritual with the business right now, as they make a plan to decide they don't know where to go just yet, but maybe they need to leave or make a plan to leave?
I think it's really multifaceted. For me, it's literally about finding your experience that you're in, finding joy in it.
Yeah.
So that when you get to the place of when you're ready to leave, whatever it may look like, but that you are, and again, I love to talk in vibration, that you have now raised your vibration. You are coming from a different space to leave. Like if you leave going, I hate what I do, I'm so unhappy, I'm so miserable, but I want to be here in a job that I love where I can express myself. The gap is so big. The vibrations are so different that it's going to be hard to get from here to here. But if you leave going, I have been able to find joy. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, but there are parts of the day where I can find joy and find joy in what I'm doing or the people around me, or whatever. It's a much easier transition.
So true. So true. Donna, what do you think?
No, I agree with Monique, and it's about the energy, right? And it's about the frequency. And the fact that a lot of times in jobs, we push ourselves into the lowest levels of energy and frequency. I want to get out of here, but I can't. I have to pay my rent. I have to pay my mortgage. I got to pay for daycare. And we think in terms of lack, and that blocks what else is coming to us. And so if you take what Monique said and you turn it around and you say, okay, what is going right for me here? Why am I really here? What's really driving me? I'm learning. I'm getting new experiences I didn't have. I can keep on growing my progress in my career while I'm learning new things. And as I'm doing this, the plan will start to come to you because you're now taking action to move yourself forward. It's just a switch in how you're looking at it, but the steps will start to appear to you. So it might be something that it's a matter of seeing the signs, right? And so I'll tell you about a particular situation where, I wasn't happy with what I was doing, and I was really tired because I was working a lot of hours. And I did a mind shift of, from this negative, I'm so tired, to no, this is a great job to have. I have so much opportunity. And I want more opportunity just like this. And things started showing up. I'd get an invitation to speak at a conference. I'd get recognition from another group. And those things started to help me put together this picture of who I was, and to be seen in a different way out in different places. But really what it did was build my confidence, right? And my abilities. And as I was moving along that path, different opportunities came to me. And eventually, I found the opportunity that was the right next opportunity for me to move on in my career. So I think it comes back to, our mindset, positivity, and thinking at higher levels of vibration rather than being stuck in the low levels of what we don't like, what we don't want to experience.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I love that. And you just reminded me of something. And I also think that it's important to trust your own intuition. You said it in the beginning, Monique, about following this line, and I think a lot of people get into business and get into careers, and then they're in the careers for a while. It's not only about paying the mortgage and the rent. It's like, how do I leave after I've spent this many years invested in this? What are people going to think about me and all of that? And it reminded me real quickly, one of my biggest things is something you said, Donna. It's about, I recognized that my job was paying for me to explore outside activities, to grow and expand, whether it was therapy, acting classes, improv class. I had no notion of being an actress. And then things started happening. I went to a Broadway play and the actors pulled me up on the stage to do a mime thing. And then I was working at the VMAs and all of a sudden I was on camera and some people were talking to me about being on camera. And then they did MTV wanted to do an interview thing with me, and they did an interview with me thing about what it was like dating and smoking cigarettes, So it was like all these things happened and I was like, universe is like, this is what you're supposed to be doing,
Mm.
So I agree with you. I don't know if you have something. Go ahead. You want to say something about that?
Yeah, I was just going to add one more point, Marilyn. You talk a lot too about goal setting and
Yeah.
having your goals clear in mind. And I think that's really important in this whole process as well, because if you don't know where you want to go, if you can't see it, you're never going to get there. So it really starts with having a vision for yourself and laying out some goals. Is what you want, what you want to accomplish.
But what would you both say to somebody who's unclear? They know they're miserable, they know they're unhappy, they know they're ready to change, but they don't know where to go. And I know a lot of successful people like that, but they don't know, not only do they lack the faith to jump into something new, but they don't know where to go. So what would you suggest to someone like that?
Well, for me, it's about doing the soul searching work, right? To go deep dive inside yourself and really start to understand yourself, what makes you happy, what makes you feel good. And there's a lot of activities and meditations and things that will support you through that process. And, Marilyn, you had one, a day in a life, and it was really, you started with a longer term goal and worked backwards, right? And it made things so clear for me. That was my initial work with you that I did, did that program, and it made things clear for me. What happens is when we're in this mode, we can't see any differently. So you have to actually remove yourself energy wise from that situation. And then you start to work on yourself by going silent, going deep, just start understanding, start realizing, being in touch with yourself, living in the present moment of, oh, wow, I just went for a walk and I really enjoyed that. I got out in the middle of the day. I never get out in the middle of the day. I don't even get out in the middle of the night. So because I'm working. So, maybe flexibility is important to me, and that I can get some of these activities in that I love to do. And you start outlining these activities that you like to do. And a lot of it just comes up, and it's about you being cognizant and looking and seeing the signs that are there for you of what you enjoy, what attracts you.
Yeah.
And, there were a lot of times I didn't know, it wasn't that I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know where I wanted to do it at. And so, there was a lot of search around that.
Yeah, I understand that. Monique, do you have anything to say to that?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything she's saying, because we have to be a proactive participant in our lives. And part of that is asking yourself sometimes hard questions, and being, I can tell you in my boundary work and what I learned so much, you have to be so honest with yourself when you start to get clear, because you have to really understand yourself in order to clarify what it is you want, what it is that makes you happy, what it is that brings you fulfillment. And it can be something as simple, I always use this example, something as so simple as identifying what it is you want to eat. Where, you know, it could be a group of people say, what restaurant do you want to go to? I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. Well, really, most people do. People don't want to take that step to say, let me sit down and figure it out. And that's part of learning who we are, what our needs are, what our likes are, what our dislikes, whatever it may be. But a lot of us don't want to do, it's almost like micro work. You know, it's really drilling down on the small things that are going to make the big things so much easier.
I love that. So let's talk about bridging spiritual gifts with a business and growing your business today. Like, what are you learning now as you're growing your businesses as entrepreneurs, marrying the two, especially when there's a lot of noise out there? There's a lot of people that, you know, there's a lot of noise out there from people who are supposedly successful or are successful. And it's very hard for me to find someone who has the mixing of both the spiritual and the business. I have a hard time seeing people like that represent it. I tend to steer more towards the masculine energy of the business people because I tend to really like their direct energy. But I've had a hard time finding a woman, or especially a woman, I hate to say this, that marries both. I really do. You may have a different experience of that, but I'd love to talk about that, like how to be an entrepreneur now and own both sides of this. You both had super successful careers. You're now super spiritual and on the like another realm completely in both of your work. And now you're going to put that together and you're running your businesses. So it's an open-ended question, whatever comes up.
You know, for me, and, you know, I mean, there's still so much that I need to learn and understand. But for me, it's really about being honest with myself, what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do. And I really don't listen to the noise. I don't, because I trust guidance enough in my group to, if there's someone I need to follow or someone I need to study with or whatever, that's when I lean into guidance really deeply, which is how I find you, Marilyn. And so for me, that's what gives me comfort, because I know there are, you know, there's a lot of noise about what to do, what you shouldn't do. And then we become, and I could feel it within myself, become fragmented, and I do nothing. So for me right now, like where I am, because, you know, I've got things going on in my personal life that are taking away some of my physical time. My biggest thing is just to connect with people face to face, one-on-one, and have conversations and have, you know, I have a sibling who's constantly sending out, actually one of my interviews with you, Marilyn, to all of his friends and people who may want to work with healers but don't understand it or don't know how. That's a wonderful way for me to connect with people.
It's also, I want to hear what Donna, what you have to say, but I'm glad we're talking about this. It's also the best way to build a business and grow a business. And I've been in business for 18 years, and I actually gone back to that. I've gone back to direct communication, whereas there were many years there, you couldn't even get to me. There was just such a strong gatekeeper. When they redid my website, I've shared the story before, the website developer was like, you don't even show people how to contact you, because I was so like overwhelmed. And I was like, I didn't, you know, and now we are getting back to that one-on-one. And it's such a great way to communicate with people and let them know what you do. I love that. Donna, what do you want to say?
Yeah, no, I agree totally with what you're saying, and believe the same way. I am direct contact. And so, you know, I don't even put a whole lot of effort into these other means of attracting business. Like, I'm not out there selling it. I am, you know, the right people will find me. That's my philosophy. And I determine what the right person is, not someone else. And so, you know, have a couple of examples. You know, I was going to a conference, and Marilyn, you and I talked before I went to the conference, and you know, we talked about it was going to be like one of those things where you're going to be kind of clamored with salespeople trying to get you to buy their different products and everything. And I had already committed to it, and I said, you know what, I know that, but I want to experience this. And while I was driving there, I set the intention that only people who were people that, you know, had shared my values, who weren't there to just get my money to sell me something, that only those people would come to me in this conference. And the conference was, I think it was 3 days. And over the 3 days, I only had 5 people come to me, you know, more than just a casual conversation. It was almost like they separated in the room when I walked in. And I left feeling very fulfilled because the 5 people were the right people for me. And I still keep in touch with them today. It's really funny. And, you know, we don't do business with each other, but we talk with each other. And so, you know, you can set these intentions for yourself. You can, you know, work with, this is what I want, and you will receive it. But there's 2 things kind of for me at this point. It's belief in yourself. 3 things: belief in yourself, trust in yourself, and faith.
Yeah.
That it will happen.
I hear that in you. And you said, you were the one who said also that was the thing that you would have in your business today. If you were bringing spiritual into your business, you would have that belief in yourself.
Yes.
Said that early on. So I agree with that, and the trust. Which I think both of you really saying that you're trusting yourself above all else. You're not getting involved in the noise that's out there. So growing the businesses that you're growing, knowing what you know, how would you like to show up in the world in your business, always honoring your spirituality and honoring yourself and your growth? I know that's like kind of another open-ended question, but I think what I'm trying to say is I want you to I like where you're standing right now. And for those who are growing a business and getting really confused on what to study, what to do, where to go, they don't even start because they're so stuck and they're afraid. I kind of want you to talk to how you're honoring yourself and honoring your path and what you see for yourself in your business and how you're going to maintain that spirituality in it. That's a lot of questions in there. So whatever, if you need a more direct question, let me know, because it's a big topic. Go ahead,
Well,
Monique.
okay, I'll just say this is when I first, you know, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago when I first started coaching, I kind of went along the party line of, okay, you need to build a website. You need to do
Yeah.
this. And so I did all that. I spent thousands of dollars. And then I'm like, oh, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I'm going to build another website because now I'm more of a healer. Built another website, spent $1,000 more. And then I recognized last year, this is not who I am. This is not what I want. This is not how I'm going to find people. And I was spinning my wheels. I was listening to the noise. I was spending so much money, and I took it down. And I said, you know what? It doesn't mean I won't have another one. But when the time is there, I will know. And so I totally recognized, and I knew it. I could feel it, because when I think about my website, my solar plexus would close up. And I'd be like, well, goodness, that's a tell. That's one of my tells. You know, we all have different tells, but it's like, why are you doing this? This is not where you are right now. You can do it again. So I took it down. And when I tell you, I felt this massive, you know, rock being lifted off my back that I'd been carrying around thinking, this is what I have to do to get people. And that is just not true. And if I remember the question, basically, the way I look at it is our businesses are our spirituality, and our spirituality is our business. Like, it just gets heightened a little bit, you know, like if I'm in a session, it's like, because my channel is wide open and I'm receiving all this information. I don't walk around in the world like that every minute, because I wouldn't be able to function, you know, I wouldn't be able to drive and walk, that kind of thing. But again, this goes back to the separation. There really isn't a separation per se around that.
I love that. I love that you brought up the website thing because I see so many people do that. And then I hear so many people spending thousands of dollars on websites, which is like the worst thing to do in the beginning because you're constantly rebranding and learning who you are. So I love that you said that. And yeah, so I'm going to leave it at that. I have more questions, but I want to hear what Donna has to say.
So for me, it's about being present. And so I did the same thing, initially website, all of that stuff. Never really used it. I mean, it was, and then when I took a different direction and went, that was, more towards a consulting type of role, and took a different direction and went more towards the leadership work that I do today and the boardroom, which is the group that I channel. I decided I would go back and not invest a lot, but I was going to get a basic website up and running. And something really funny happened in this whole process. And it was that
So
there was
besides the
supposed,
fact that I had a fit over what it looked like.
yeah, many fits, right? Yep. What the heck are you thinking? I wasn't the design. Well, I was, I guess, at the end of it, but anyway, it was I wanted to have a page up there for the boardroom, and I never got there. And it just came to me. They don't belong on a page on a website. They're not, that's not what they do. That's not what they're there for. And so I never completed that page. And right now I won't complete it unless they come and tell me I need to get it done. But what they tell me, and it's about the listening aspect of things, is that it's me, the person, that will attract the people, not the website, not anything, any kind of communication I'm going to do about them. So it's understanding that the way that I'm going to grow, the way that we're going to grow them and bring them out, is more of a high touch thing for me. I have to get out there. They're telling me, get out, be seen. And after being in corporate world, I was kind of like, I really want to hide for a little while. And they're like, no, you're going to, and it's been a journey, for a couple of years, but it's, they're pushing me out there. It's you that needs to be seen. You're our voice, and people will only believe it when they see it come from you. And so that's what I do.
So I want to ask a question about that, but I want to touch on something you both kind of saying, and Monique, you kind of said it first, and just in the way you said it. But I really feel, and I feel that this existed beforehand, but I feel like this exists very powerfully in 2024, where we are in that's why like the stuff that I'm bringing into Next Level Living, what we're learning, what you guys already know, what we're playing with, I should say, is we only need to have such clarity in our own beings of what it is we desire, who we want to work with. It's what you're both saying, and how you want to do that work. And then when you have ownership over it, and I don't talk about ownership in like a very spiritual way, it comes into your realm. You have to take, I'm a very action-oriented person. I don't think people have to take action the way I take action. You do have to take what I call inspired action. When you get the inspiration hits, Donna going to a conference, or, putting out your book, Monique, you're talking one-on-one with people, and you're really starting to let people know like how you are a healer, and learning how to talk about frequency and explain things that you do that it's very hard to explain in layman terms. So I do believe that we are in a place that is very powerful for that right now. Very powerful. You can say something if you want to that, but there's something I want to talk about too, but go ahead.
What I want to say is, who knows where we came from, right? Who knows really what happens. We all have these ideas, but we are in these physical bodies. We are human beings. In my belief system, human beings are not meant to be solo living people. We thrive and flourish off of interaction, off of communication. We have sight to see, we have ears we can hear, we have hands to feel. We are very tactile beings, and we have emotions that go along with that. So for me, which is why, particularly coming off of the last few years when we were so separated, we lost so much social connection and interaction, that as humans, we are craving that. We are hungering that personal, which for me, why, everything has cycles. And there was a time where one-on-one contact, I'm not saying sessions per se, but contact wasn't as important. Where now people really need that. People want to be assured that they mean something to the world. And so when we connect with someone else and listen to their story or support them or whatever it may be, we are developing that beautiful energetic relationship that for me is one of the reasons I came into a human body.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we had to be deprived of it in order to understand the importance of it, to elevate to the next level of it. I feel. I don't know, but that's what I feel. What did you want to say, Donna?
Well, no, I agree. And I'll take it a little bit further too. And that is in today's times, everything we are being inspired by is based on fear, conflict, division. And so by standing in our soul's body, we can change that, right? We don't have to be powerless to that. We don't have to subscribe to that. It's our control as to how we want to think and how we want to see. And it's really, our mission to break free of that.
Yeah, I like that. I love that. So doing what you both do, how have you struggled to explain it? And what have you done to get through the struggles of explaining it? And the reason why I say that, I'm going to do a sidebar for a second. I'm thinking about all the people coming into Next Level Living. They have a pretty good sense. They've been on the spiritual journey for a tiny bit. They've been working on themselves, and now they recognize that what they've gone through themselves and healed, they're ready to do for other people, and they need to do it for other people. They're being called to do for other people. And it's very hard, I feel, to explain in the beginning until you have a grasp of it, your unique abilities, because your abilities are very unique to you. Not only I don't care how many different modalities you study. No one's had Monique's life. A lawyer, you were a professor, different things you did, teaching and stuff like that. Same with you, Donna, VP, a mother, to your daughter and everything going on. So it takes place in all that you're doing. It takes place in your brand. So the question is, how do you explain what you do? Talk about a little bit of the struggle with that, because there's going to be people listening to that, and how you're going to approach it now and how you're hoping it'll grow, because it will continue to grow, to explain, because your brand, I'm in business 18 years, my brand is changing again. So whoever wants to take that question first is fine.
So, okay, I'll go first this time. So the first thing is that there are so many people that don't connect with what I do. And it's hard to explain it to them. And it's it's something that people could laugh at a lot, right? Oh, you talk to dead people is what I get a lot. And it's their spin, but it's also their loss, because they're not appreciating what's really out there for us. And yes, I do channel people that are non-physical, that have tremendous messages to share. What I find is that if I target the people who don't believe me, it's full of frustration. If I target the people who believe or are curious and want to learn more, it's full of fulfillment. Because if I can bring that joy to just even one other person, I've expanded for the world, right? So brought light in, expanded the energy. So for me, the focus is always always be on the positive side of it. Now, there's a lot of people who believe that still don't get the concept. And that's why for me, it's about practical, bringing practical approach to what I do. And that comes from who I am as the person. That's the part of me that's been in business for way too many more years than I want to admit, and who has a very strong message, and can help change a lot of things. But I'm practical about the message. When I channel, I don't change who I am. I am still this person as I bring information to other people. And so for me, it's about kind of melding a little bit of my past and who I am as that person into the business that I bring to everyone else.
I love that. That makes total sense. Monique?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because I've worked with you long enough, Marilyn, and I have struggled over the years to kind of be able to explain what I do in layman's terms. And sometimes it can't be explained simply because there are no words to describe sometimes what it is that all of us do. But what I find is that the people that are interested are going to ask questions. And that will give me the opportunity to explain in general, that everything is energy. Whether we can see it or not is not the purpose. But, think about your thoughts, think about your feelings, think about your beliefs. Where do they live? You can't say, oh, well, that's, the doctor can look in my eye and see the belief there. No. That there's this lovely field around us that is constantly informing our physical bodies. And I'd like to explain, our physical bodies are these receptors of information. And so what I am doing is going out into the sphere and accessing the information before it becomes physical. I can work with your body, which is held on to so many things that you probably don't know about, and we don't always need to know, but that to help to facilitate, because your body has the ability to do it on its own. I just facilitate the process of bringing in whatever it is, because everything has energy. So it could be a word, it could be a color, it could be a light, it could be a symbol, it could be, medication. For me, I don't do that on other people, but to bring it in to support the physical body to release, transmute, whatever it is that the body needs to increase its vibration, to raise its vibration.
So what do you feel, the both of you, because I do get this and I understand this, I just did a sidebar, because with Next Level Living, it's been so hard to explain what that program's about, right? And I'm redoing the overview right now, the sales system to it. And the overview is so much better, so much clearer, but still, like that product page, I always tell people, go to the product page, but it doesn't explain the program, right? So I'm not going to get into that and my own journey with that, which has been fascinating. And I can tell you this. Well, actually, I want to ask this question. No, I'm going to say it and then ask it. I feel that I have stepped into a confidence in my work that I haven't had. Like, I've always been confident. As a reader, I'm always been confident, really confident. But there's a confidence going on inside of me about what my work and what my mission is and what I'm here to do, that, like you said, both of you, it's talking to the right people. And it's not an ego thing. It's not a power thing. It's more of just such a passion for it. And then it's having the right questions come towards me about it. And it's also talking to the right person. It's not talking to the person you're trying to convince. So my question for both of you, because I've seen both of you grow in this area, what has made you become so much more confident in your work and what you're here to do?
Well, I think it's the results.
Mm-hmm.
It's my clients, and it's the feedback, and it's the information I get. And for me, though, everything I've done with clients, I can't say everything. I'd say a good 95% what I've done with clients, I've done on myself first. So if they have me, let's say, working on a strand of DNA on someone, I had done it on myself. So I understand the process, and I understand what my body's ability is to receive this information. So for me, that's how my confidence grew, is actually doing the work with people.
But I have a quick question for that, and then I want to hear what you have to say, Donna. So a lot of people will be thinking like, well, I don't have those clients yet, right? So what, and which is great, because this is true. It is true. And you don't wait until you get confident to get it. It grows with it. What was the initiating thing, though, that made you realize, like, I am meant to do this?
Well, I was a guinea pig.
Oh.
I mean, that's the thing, because I became so ill and had to have my daily needs taken care of by others. And I'm like, either it was a choice, either I die or I figure out a different way to approach this. And it was very slow, and lots of resistance, lots of fear, because it was so different from my mindset. And it was really examining my belief systems
Yeah,
and what I was holding on to.
great. I love that. Donna?
Yeah, so I think a couple things. It is the validation part of seeing the results of your work, right? There's a lot of that out there where, you know, a message comes and it just helps someone so much. And you see not only how it impacted them when you delivered the message, but how it changed what they did after they received it. But there's also this growth that comes with it. And the growth has been very motivating to me, and I've watched myself expand over the last few years. And to achieve to where I am today, the process that I used to get here, you know, has been so much fun and enjoyable, right? It's been, there's, trust me, there's times where, you know, energetically it can be challenging. We face, and you know, we have to learn that everything that happens to us is for us, and we have to truly believe that. And so when you go through some challenging opportunities, you know, you have to be able to say, okay, here's what I learned from doing that, so let's go there. So but I just think that the growth has been so huge just by putting myself out there, practicing, trying different things, and being so receptive to whatever comes, right? And knowing that I'm protected as well, so only good is going to come. I think that's been it.
I love that. So for somebody who is looking to do a business, what would be your advice to them?
I guess my first advice is do it, right? Because I mean, if it's in your mind, and that's it's obviously something that you want to do, so explore it. You know, decide what it looks like, you know, create a vision for it, set some goals as to what you want to see from it, and try to work it out. I don't mean jump into it, invest tons of money. I would strongly advise against that. As you had said earlier, Marilyn, it's about, you know, starting with a smaller step, but making sure that you're aligned with your vision and that you're in touch with the inner you and what brings it joy and happiness, and
Yeah.
expand on that.
Monique?
Yeah, I know I keep freezing.
You're not freezing on our side.
Okay, good, because I am behind, but there you go. See, the energy gets so wonky when we talk about this stuff. Donna, it's basically, and this goes back to your former question too, about like, you know, how do you build your confidence? I would get so much joy out of what I was doing, even if I wasn't working on people, just simply working on myself, connecting with the energy. I'm like, how can I not be confident? Because this is who I am. If I'm feeling this kind of joy and connection, this has got to be it. This is the real deal.
So that brings us back to the original topic, which we're going to start wrapping up now, but it bridging spiritual and business so you can grow from within, bringing it all together. And you just said something really important, because I'm thinking about people I know, you know, I know so many people in my business that aren't getting off their butts and doing it. And you're right, when it gives you so much joy, why wouldn't you do it? And I think a lot of people are scared and insecure, or whatever the reasons may be. That's totally fine. We all have that stuff. So what would be the thing that do you feel? How do you feel you're bringing your spiritual gifts and your business and growing from within every single day now? Like, I know we've already touched on it, but how is this becoming your daily practice? How is this becoming part of your breath, part of your life every single day? What are some things that you're doing that it's like, I have to do this now. This is the only way I can live?
Well, I guess for me, I start every day talking to my guides, asking them what I need to do today. What are the things that are important for me today? And I follow their guidance. And so, you know, and a lot of times, I mean, it doesn't mean your day goes as planned. I just trust me on that, because it doesn't. But when the day goes awry, they're there right with me, you know, guiding me to the next place I should go. And so it helps me to do a lot of things that I didn't always do before, like laugh at myself, find joy in myself and what I think, see some of the craziness in my thoughts and then do them anyway. You know, so I feel like it's totally changed. I- It's brought back the younger me,
Mm,
the one that didn't have all the biases that I learned through the years. And it's given me the guts and the instinct to do what I need to do,
love that.
to do what I want to do.
Donna, you said something so important the other day when we were just talking, just you and and I think you're going to be okay with it. And I think I shared it on the podcast that I recorded yesterday, was about you feel like you finally got it, or finally, I remember how you said it about being 60. And I'm 58. Monique, I think are you okay with your age being said?
It is what it is. Yeah. I just turned 60.
Yeah. And there's something about this age, and you can repeat what you said, Donna, that is quite friggin' magical. I gotta say, it's really amazing how you come into your own in such a brilliant way. And I don't think that people are listening that are 45 can't have that experience. I can just speak for someone who's 58 going into 59. I feel it like more so than ever. Do you know what I'm talking about, Donna, when we were talking about that?
I don't remember exactly what I said, but I'll just tell you it's very liberating. Because it's at a point in my life where the other opinions that kind of shadowed me all my life are not relevant to me anymore.
Same here. Yeah. So Monique, you were going to talk about, I'm sorry, I took a sidebar there, but I thought it was important, the bridging the spiritual gifts and your business. How do you, and living from within and growing from within, how do you make that a practice every single day? And
I
what it
think
does for you?
for me, it's just the way of life.
Mm.
It's not, I mean, we all have different things, whether it's, we journal or we meditate, or I mean, everyone's got, but for me, it's the part of living. And it's constantly when I start to feel, whether it's I feel crappy or I start to get upset or I start to feel restricted, it's that checking in. What is it? What's the thought? What's the belief? What is, my body tells me so much. So it's easy for me to go, up, something's up. So what is it? And I do it in the moment. Okay, what's coming up? And it happened right before this class. Something came up with someone that I knew, and I'm like, okay, show me what it is, because it's triggering something in me. I can't figure really out what it is right now. So walk me through it.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, no big deal. Doesn't matter anymore. That's her crap, not mine. And so I think for me, that's been the biggest change. You don't let that anger build up or that resentment or that fear or whatever. It's that in the moment, investigate, check it out, move on.
Well, you said something else before. I think it was you. You don't take responsibility for it either. You're not taking responsibility for everybody else.
And
And
then
you
you
talked about coworkers. Yeah.
possible, but we are taught that is our responsibility,
Yeah.
but we can't. I have zero control over someone else's belief system, over their emotions, over their reactions. So when people say, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings, you don't have that power.
Yeah.
I don't want to upset. You don't have that power.
So true.
The license to be ugly and mean, but at the end of the day, that is not something I can control.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really key, because a lot of times when you're in business and you're spiritual and people are coming to you for that, it's also very easy for them to place blame when they don't grow the way that they want to. And that it's very easy to say, well, you didn't tell me or whatever, right? And for us, it gives us that ability to stand in our power and say, oh no, that's your responsibility. What you're doing is, I'm going to use the word victim, but you're making yourself a victim instead of owning your responsibility.
Yeah.
And so you have to go back to that.
I love it. Love this topic, ladies. Thank you so, so much. So before we go, I want you to tell everyone how they can find you. And of course, you're going to have, we'll have this in the show notes, but I want you to tell them anything you want to tell them, anything you're up to, anything at all. Totally fine. But I would love for you to share that. You want to go, Monique?
Yeah, I'll be happy to go. Okay, so the only way to reach me is either through my Instagram account, which is Monique Garsaud, or they can email me, Monique at Monique Garsaud, and my last name is Garsaud. So it's Monique at MoniqueGarsaud.com. They can always email me. And so what I'm up to, which is really kind of exciting, is I have been channeling these really, for me, wonderful, cool symbols.
Mhm.
And I am putting them all together, and I'm going to start writing a book on the symbols and how they can support people.
Yeah, and for people who work with you now, Monique, is these symbols are like, I only saw one, but they're amazing. Um, for people who work with you now, those symbols come through, right? You work with those symbols with people now,
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's life changing. So check out Monique and contact Monique if you have more interest in how she works, and we'll make sure that that information is in the show notes as well. Donna?
So you can reach me at my website of bethedifference.global, or Donna at bethedifference.global. And you can email me directly. And I love it when people do reach out to me directly, because it is about that personal interaction that really works well. The probably the most exciting thing going on for me right now is I just did release my first book, and there are actually 3 members of Next Level Living who are authors in the book. It's a compilation of 25 authors' stories of how they've worked from kind of tragedy to triumph, and taken their opportunities that they've been faced with in life and turning them into being very special people that they are today. The book is called The Power and Impact of Courageous Change Makers, Stories of Life, Love, and Business. And it's currently available on Amazon right now in ebook, but effective next week, 3/15, I think the actual soft cover book will be available as well.
Yeah. And by the time this comes out, it'll be available on soft cover. So, and then you have a website for the book too, right? What's the website for the book?
Yes, the book's website is courageousimpact.com,
Okay.
and we're using that to build a community for people who are trying to achieve change or are challenged by change, so that they can have a support network.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, both of you. That was really incredible. And it's such an important topic and conversation to have, especially about with people who are growing businesses through their own innate gifts, their unique gifts. And it's really important for them to hear from other people about how they did it. So I appreciate that. Thank you everyone for listening. And as always, please rate, review, subscribe, share this episode if this episode has some impact on you and you know somebody who would benefit from it. It would really be wonderful to do that. And sharing these beautiful women that I know are absolutely incredible. I don't invite randos on my podcast. I get hit up at times to interview people and I won't do it. I will only interview people that I know or have a really, really good feeling about if I've just met them or something. But very rarely do I ever interview somebody I've just met, because I know people that I know that have listened to my podcast actually hire the people that I recommend. So I definitely recommend both Donna and Monique. And I suggest that you do definitely reach out to them. And then I now have my tagline, which I think is perfect for today's episode, which is, who can it be now? It's you. It's always you. Have a great day or night whenever you're listening to this. Thank you so much.
Thanks.